Good day, everyone. This is Christy, and today I'll be talking about socialism. Socialism is an economic system where everyone in society equally owns the factor of production. That ownership is acquired through a democratically elected government or through a cooperative or a public cooperation in which everyone owns shares. Citizens in socialist society rely on the government for everything, from food to health care. Proponents of socialism believes that it leads to a more equal distribution of goods and services and a more equitable society. Next is democratic socialism. Democratic socialism is a political philosophy supporting political democracy within a socially owned economy. It is with a particular emphasis on economic democracy, workplace democracy, and workers' self management within a market socialist economy or some form of decentralized planned socialist economy. Democratic socialism is defined as having a socialist economy in which the means of production are socially and collectively owned or controlled alongside a democratic political system of government. Now that we're done tackling what socialism means, let us proceed on knowing its strengths and weaknesses. Reduction of relative poverty. It is a welfare state which provides a minimum basic income for those who are unemployed, sick, or unable to work, maintains a basic living standard for the poorest in society, and helps to reduce relative poverty. Second is free health care. Free health care at the point of use means everyone is entitled to basic health care. This increases the living standards of those who cannot afford to pay private doctors. Third is diminishing marginal utility of income. From a utilitarian perspective, a redistribution of income and opportunity from the very rich to the very poor can increase total utility in society. Next is environment. An economy which is regulated to work towards the long-term welfare will place a higher value on environmental concerns, such as limiting pollution even if it lowers profit. It also reduces hidden taxes. An economy with no public health care will have lower tax rates. However, individuals and firms will pay for health care in a different form. Lastly is benefits of public ownership. The benefit of public ownership is that companies can be run in the public interest rather than just for the benefit of shareholders. Now let's proceed to socialism weaknesses. First in the list is government failure. In an ideal world, the government would be successful in regulating firms, labor markets, and running public industries. However, government intervention is prone to government failure and an inefficient allocation of resources. For example, labor market regulations such as high minimum wages or maximum working week could lead to unemployment and lack of flexibility, which firms need to deal with a sudden increase in demand. Second is welfare state can cause disincentives. If a welfare state is too generous, it is argued that it may create a disincentive to get a job and therefore it can reduce the labor force and individual effort. Third is powerful unions can cause labor market antagonism. Ideally, socialism aims at a more harmonious society. However, if the socialist policies are geared towards strengthening trade unions and aiming for perfect equality, it can lead to antagonistic labor relations with them and us mentality, workers against owners. This attitude can cause time loss to strikes and unproductive factories. Fourth is rationing of healthcare. In a publicly funded healthcare system like the UK, doctors usually face greater financial constraints. Some non-urgent operations will be rationed and there are longer waiting lists than in a private system. Lastly is difficult to remove subsidies or government benefits. Milton Friedman argued that nothing was so permanent as a temporary government subsidy. A good example is farming subsidies. In the late 1920s and 1930s, U.S. agriculture was in crisis, so the federal government agreed to give temporary support. However, over the years, government subsidies to farming in U.S. has continued to grow. In 2019, U.S. farmers got a record of $22.4 in subsidies. Farming subsidies are not really seen as socialism, but it is a form of big government intervention giving money to a certain group. Now let's tackle when did socialism arise? It began as a response to the dire poverty and inhuman working conditions in industrialized Europe in the early 19th century. One of the first thinkers called a socialist was Robert Owen. He is an idealistic Welsh mill owner who in the 1820s created a number of short-lived utopian communities, basically collectives in Britain and the American Midwest. But socialism really took off in mid-century, spurred by the writings of German philosopher Karl Marx and the rise of labor unions. In relation to property, there are great classes of society. The first one is bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie is a sociologically defined social class, especially in contemporary times, referring to people with a certain culture and financial capital belonging to the middle or upper middle class. They are the people who owns the means of production such as machinery and factory buildings, and whose source of income is profit. While proletariat are the social class of wage earners, those members of a society whose only possession of significant economic value is their labor power. They are the people who own their labor and sell it for a wage. In short, proletarians are the working classes who are employed by the bourgeoisie. Karl Marx condemned capitalism as a system that alienates the masses. His reasoning was as follows. Although workers produce things for the market forces, not workers, and control things. People are required to work for capitalists who have full control over the means of production and maintain power in the workplace. Marx viewed capitalism as immoral because he saw a system in which workers were exploited by capitalists who unjustly extracted surplus value for their own gain. These are some examples of socialist countries. First one is Northern Europe, which includes Sweden and Finland, the France, and some South American countries, which includes Venezuela. Now let's proceed to communism. It is a system in which goods are owned in common and are available to all as needed. It is a theory advocating elimination of private property. It is also a doctrine based on revolutionary Marxian socialism and Marxism-Leninism that was the official ideology of the USSR. Both socialism and communism place great value on creating a more equal society and removal of class privilege. The main difference is that socialism is compatible with democracy and liberty, whereas communism involves creating an equal society through an authoritarian state, which denies basic liberties.